A few weeks ago, I celebrated my 26th birthday. My name is Robin. It was a good life. Jake and I had been sweethearts in college, and we were engaged with a wedding imminent. Prior to my mom interfering, everything appeared to be going according to plan. My phone buzzed when I was relaxing on the couch, reading a bridal magazine. A name, Mom's, appeared on the screen briefly. "Hey, Mom, what's up?" I asked with a smile. "Robin, honey, I need your opinion," she continued, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "When he walks you down the aisle, what style of suit do you think Tom would look most dapper in?" I was considering going with blue, but I suppose black would be more classic. I blinked, my mind racing. "I don't understand what you're saying, Mom." "I'm being escorted down the aisle by my grandpa." The other party on the queue was silent for a moment before asking, "What?" "No, it's Tom's job. He wants to acquire some experience under his belt so he can gauge when his teenage daughter should take the stage." Forgot about my magazine. I straightened up and sat up. "Is it practice?" "Listen, Mom, I'm not here to act out your future father-in-law's role as the bridesmaid. I am being escorted down the aisle by my grandpa, so that's the tale." "But Tom—" "I don't care about Tom." The ferocity of my wrath took me by surprise as I yelled, "Having me as his test subject is not in my future. You could urge him to find another wedding to crash if he is so intent on practicing." "Robin Elizabeth Carter, you listen to me?" Hung up. The phone immediately started ringing again, but I ignored it, tossing it aside as if it had burned me. As I sat there, my heart pounding, memories started flooding back. I remembered Dad's face, his warm smile, the way he used to swing me around in the backyard. He died when I was 10, leaving a gaping hole in our lives that Mom had desperately tried to fill. Then came the parade of men that followed, all truckers from the transportation company where Mom worked. She'd bring them home, introducing each one as the on, her future husband, my future stepfather. But they never lasted long. Mom was intense, clingy. She'd scare them off, and then the next one would appear, another Mr. Right, in a never-ending cycle. As I sat there, lost in memories, I couldn't help think of how I sought refuge with my grandparents during those tumultuous years. They were my safe haven, a stark contrast to the chaos at home. I was about 13 when things really started to get out of hand. One day, I came home from school to find Mom in a screaming match with some woman I'd never seen before. "You home wrecking!" The stranger shrieked, her face red with fury. "That's my husband." Mom, never one to back down, fired right back. "He told me he was single. Don't blame me for your marital problems." And there, lounging in our ratty armchair, was Mom's latest boyfriend. I think his name was Dave or Dan. I honestly couldn't keep track anymore. He was watching the two women fight with a smug grin on his face, like it was some kind of twisted entertainment. The moment my rucksack fell from my shoulder, I stood motionless in the entranceway. "Mom!" I cried out in a feeble voice. The two women spun around to confront me. The stranger's pupils dilated before finally narrowing. "Is this your daughter?" she asked, her verbal outburst at Mom. "Does she know what kind of woman her mother is?" "Leave her out of this." Back came Mom's shout. Dan, or Dave, got to his feet at last. He said, "No need to fight, ladies. Everybody can get my undivided attention." A choked cry from the stranger's lips as she pounced on him. As soon as I heard that, I bolted for my room, refusing to come out until the yelling subsided. Even though our flat had very thin walls, I could still hear my mom sobbing that night. Now that Dave and his wife had departed, Mom was once again on her own. Things didn't improve as I got older. When I was 15 years old, I was actively avoiding my home. The constant stream of men who dated Mom wasn't the only thing happening anymore. Their expressions told the story. Rick was the guy who, as I reached for a snack in the kitchen, stared at me intently. The doctor informed Mom that her daughter was developing well. Mom merely chuckled. She proudly said she takes after me, oblivious to my discomfort. Rather than being at home, I began to spend more time at places like the library and friends' residences. No, Mom didn't understand. If I refused to hang out with her and her new lover, she would accuse me of being selfish. "Robin, honey," she teased at one point, "come meet Jeff. The young ones love him. The three of us could make a wonderful family." I felt queasy as I stared at Jeff and saw his eyes dart over me. My response was a low-key no thanks, and I went packing. My grandpa was contacted that evening. "Can I come stay with you for a while?" Attempting to conceal my voice's desperation, I inquired. The words "absolutely, sweet pea" escaped his lips without apology. "You're always welcome here." My grandparents saw right away that something was off. As we sat at their kitchen table one evening, the words came pouring out of me. The gaggle of guys, the awkward looks, and Mom's complete unawareness were all details I relayed to them. I looked across at Grandpa and saw a hard line in his face that I'd never seen before. Grandma was crying by the time I finished. "That's sufficient," he declared with a low but determined tone. "We're putting a stop to this right now." We visited Mom the following day by car. Non-stop action was taken by Grandpa. "Carol, you're putting yourself in harm's way by doing this. You're inviting strangers into your home while a little girl is there. Are you familiar with the potential outcomes?" Mom's cheeks turned scarlet. "How dare you?" she yelled. "You never wanted me to find pleasure. You want to destroy my life." "You life?" Grandpa retorted. "What about life of Robin? Regarding her safety, what?" "Robin's brilliant," Mom continued insistently. "She's simply acting dramatic." "So you're going to remove her from my sight? Is that correct?" Grandpa gestured. "Robin is arriving to live with us. You can straighten your personal life without endangering her." Mom spat. "Fine. See her. Finding a decent man without a teenage cramps, my style would be easy regardless." Her comments felt to me like a stomach punch. Deep down, I knew Mom sometimes considered me as a burden, yet hearing her say it aloud hurt more than I had imagined. Grandma squeezed my shoulder. "Go pack your things, sweetie," she said softly. I nodded, heading to my room in a daze as I threw clothes into a duffel bag. I could hear Mom and Grandpa still arguing in the living room. When I came back out, Mom was standing by the door, arms crossed. "So, this is it, huh?" she said. "You're choosing them over me." I looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time. She seemed smaller somehow, more fragile. For a moment, I saw the scared, lonely woman behind the brash exterior. "I'm choosing me, Mom," I said quietly. "I hope someday you'll understand that." She didn't answer, just turned away as I walked out the door with my grandparents. As we drove away, I watched my childhood home disappear in the rearview mirror. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in years, I felt safe. Living with my grandparents was like stepping into a different world. Gone were the late-night arguments, the parade of strange men, and the constant tension. Instead, I found myself surrounded by love, stability, and support. I still went to the same school and saw the same friends, but everything felt different, better. I could focus on my studies without worrying about what or who I'd find when I got home. Mom was Mom. She'd call occasionally, usually to talk about her latest boyfriend or to complain about work. She rarely asked about me, and when she did, she didn't seem to really listen to the answers. When graduation day rolled around, I was surprised to see her there. She sat with my grandparents, looking uncomfortable and out of place. "You look nice, honey," she said after the ceremony, giving me a quick hug. "Listen, I've got to run. I've got a date with this great guy I met at work. You understand, right?" And just like that, she was gone. I watched her rush off, feeling a mixture of hurt and relief. My grandparents helped me move into my dorm room that fall, setting me up with everything I needed for college. I decided to study to become an investment manager, fascinated by the world of finance and planning. That's where I met Jake. We were in the same introduction to financial markets class, both of us bright-eyed freshmen with big dreams. We became friends first, study buddies who'd quiz each other, leak it to the night at the campus coffee shop. It wasn't until our senior year that things shifted. We were working on a group project, hunched over spreadsheets in the library, when Jake suddenly looked up at me. "Robin," he said, his voice serious, "I think I'm in love with you." I blinked at him, surprised, and then I realized I felt the same way. Our relationship blossomed quickly after that. Jake was kind, smart, and stable, everything I'd never had in my life with Mom. When he proposed after graduation, I didn't hesitate to say yes. I saw Mom a few times during those years, usually when I'd stop by her place during breaks. Her new boyfriend, Tom, was always there, younger than her, with slicked back hair and a cocky grin. "Robin, this is Tom," Mom had said, beaming. "He's got a daughter 7 years younger than you. Isn't that great?" I smiled politely, not sure what to say. Tom had looked me up and down in a way that made me uncomfortable, reminding me of all those boyfriends from years ago. After reliving all these memories, I knew I needed to talk to Grandpa. Jake and I drove out to my grandparents' house one weekend, the weight of Mom's demand heavy on my mind. "Grandpa," I said as we sat in their cozy living room, "Mom called me about the wedding. She wants her boyfriend Tom to walk me down the aisle. Says he wants to practice for when his own daughter gets married." Grandpa reached out and took my hand. "Robin, I'd be honored to walk you down the aisle. But if you wanted to choose Tom or anyone else, I'd understand. It's your day." I shook my head, feeling tears prick at my eyes. "There's no choice to make, Grandpa. It's always been you." Jake, sitting next to me, squeezed my other hand. "I support whatever Robin wants," he said. "She's told me about everything you've done for her, sir. I can't think of anyone better to give her away." Grandpa smiled, his eyes suspiciously moist. "Well then," he said, his voice gruff with emotion, "I guess we better start practicing our walk, hadn't we?" As we all laughed, I felt a wave of love and gratitude wash over me. This was my real family. The people who'd stood by me, supported me, loved me unconditionally. And in a few short weeks, I'd be adding Jake to that family officially. I thought I'd put an end to Mom's ridiculous demands, but apparently I underestimated her determination. The calls kept coming, each one more insistent than the last. "Robin, you need to reconsider," Mom pleaded one evening. "Tom's really upset. If you don't let him walk you down the aisle, he might leave me. Then maybe he's not the right guy for you." I snapped, my patience wearing thin. "Look, I'm busy planning my wedding. Can we please drop this?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. When Mom spoke again, her voice was cold. "Fine. If that's how you want to play it, I won't come to your wedding at all." Something inside me snapped. "You know what? Fine. Don't come. It's not like you've been a real mother to me anyway." I hung up before she could respond, my hands shaking. Part of me felt guilty for lashing out, but a bigger part felt relieved, like I'd finally said what I'd been holding back for years. Days passed, and I started to think maybe that was the end of it. Maybe Mom had finally gotten the message. I threw myself into wedding planning, grateful for the distraction. But then, about a week later, I was at work when my boss, Mr. Johnson, called me into his office. As soon as I walked in, I knew something was wrong. Mom was there, mascara streaking down her face, with Tom hovering behind her like a bodyguard. "Robin," Mom cried, throwing herself at me, "how could you be so cruel to your own mother?" I stood frozen, completely blindsided. "Mom, what are you doing here?" She turned to Mr. Johnson, who was watching the scene with wide eyes. "Mr. Johnson, you have to talk some sense into her. She's breaking her poor mother's heart." Mr. Johnson stammered, clearly out of his depth. Mom barreled on, gesturing wildly between herself and Tom. "She won't let her parents walk her down the aisle at her wedding. Can you believe it? After everything we've done for her. Please make her listen to reason." Before anyone could say anything else, Mom grabbed Tom's arm and stormed out of the office, slamming the door behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. Mr. Johnson leaned back in his chair, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "Robin, I think you owe me an explanation. What exactly is going on?" Haltingly, I began to explain about my childhood, about living with my grandparents, about Mom's revolving door of boyfriends. I told him about her insistence that Tom walk me down the aisle and my refusal. To my surprise, Mr. Johnson's face softened as I spoke. When I finished, he let out a long sigh. "You know, Robin, your mother reminds me a lot of my ex-wife," he said, shaking his head. "I divorced her because of similar dramatic tendencies, always making everything about her, never considering how her actions affected others." Relief washed over me. "So you understand?" He nodded. "I do, and I want you to know that I'm on your side here. Your wedding day is about you, not your mother or her boyfriend." I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I really appreciate that." "However," he continued, his tone turning serious, "we can't have scenes like this at the office. It's unprofessional and disruptive. I need you to handle this situation, Robin. Make sure it doesn't happen again." As I left Mr. Johnson's office, relief gave way to anger. How dare Mom show up at my workplace like that? She could have cost me my job. My first stop was the security desk. I explained the situation to Dave, the head of security, showing him a picture of Mom and Tom on my phone. "These two are not to be allowed in the building under any circumstances," I said firmly. "If they show up, please call the police immediately." Back at my desk, I opened my email, my fingers flying over the keyboard as I typed out a message to Mom. "Mom, your behavior today was completely unacceptable. You had no right to show up at my workplace and cause a scene. You could have jeopardized my career with your selfish actions. I've tried to be patient with you, tried to explain my feelings, but you refused to listen. So let me be crystal clear. You are no longer invited to my wedding. Neither is Tom. I'm asking you, no, I'm telling you, to stay away from me. Don't call, don't email, don't show up at my work or my home. If you can't respect my boundaries, I'll have no choice but to take legal action." I hit send before I could second-guess myself, then sat back feeling drained but oddly liberated. That evening, I told Jake what had happened. He wrapped me in a tight hug. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that," he said, "but I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself." We called my grandparents and Jake's parents, explaining the situation. To my relief, they all supported my decision. As Jake and I went through our wedding guest list that night, crossing off Mom and Tom's names, I felt a mix of sadness and relief. Our wedding would be smaller now, but it would be filled with people who truly loved and supported us. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, squeezing my hand. I looked at him, at the love and concern in his eyes, and felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. "Yeah," I said, squeezing back. "I really am. And I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was taking control of my life, setting boundaries and surrounding myself with people who genuinely cared about me. It wasn't how I'd imagined my wedding planning would go, but somehow it felt right. The day I had dreamed of for so long had finally arrived. I stood at the chapel doors, my heart fluttering with excitement. Grandpa, dapper in his tuxedo, squeezed my hand reassuringly. The music swelled, and we took our first step. But before we could even enter the chapel, A shrill voice cut through the air. "Stop right there." Mom came barreling down the aisle, Tom hot on her heels. She jabbed a finger at Grandpa. "You move aside. Tom's walking Robin down the aisle." I couldn't believe it. After everything, she was still trying to make my wedding about her. "Mom, what are you doing here? You weren't invited. Please leave now." Mom's face crumpled, and the waterworks started. I'd seen this act too many times to be fooled. "How can you be so cruel? I raised you. I loved you after your father died." Grandpa, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Carol, that's enough. Everyone here knows the truth about who really raised Robin." I glanced around at our guests. Their faces showed a mix of shock, sympathy, and, was that a hint of amusement? Clearly, Mom's theatrics weren't winning her any fans. Mom must have noticed too, because her tactics suddenly changed. "Fine," she spat. "I don't need you, Robin. I have Tom. He appreciates me unlike you. You've always been stupid and arrogant. I disown you." Before I could respond, Grandpa cut in, his voice cold. "Well, Carol, if that's how you feel, then I have something to say too. You're no longer welcome in my house. Yes, my house, and I'm writing you out of my will." The change in Tom's demeanor was instant and almost comical. He paled, taking a step back from Mom. Carol, sorry, but I didn't sign up for all this drama. Plus, without the house and inheritance, well, let's just say I think I'd be better off finding a younger girlfriend. We're done." Mom's face contorted with rage. She let out a wordless scream, grabbing at her hair. "You're all against me. How dare you? I'll show you." Before she could finish her threat, 2 police officers, who had been quietly called by one of the guests, appeared at her side. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to come with us," one of them said firmly. As they led Mom away, her shouts echoing through the chapel, I felt a strange mix of emotions: relief, sadness, and oddly enough, a bit of pity. This was rock bottom for her, and part of me hoped it might finally be the wake-up call she needed. 30 minutes later, after I'd had a chance to touch up my makeup and calm my nerves, I once again stood at the chapel doors with Grandpa. As we walked down the aisle, I saw Jake waiting for me at the altar, his face full of love and concern. Our eyes met, and suddenly all the drama of the past hour faded away. This was our moment, and nothing, not even my mother's antics, could take that away from us. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with laughter and happy tears. As Jake and I shared our first kiss as husband and wife, I knew that whatever challenges life threw our way, we'd face them together, surrounded by the love and support of our true family. During the reception, guest after guest approached us, offering words of support and condemning my mother's behavior. "You handled that like a champ, Robin," my college roommate said, hugging me tight. "Your mom's got some nerve," Jake's uncle grumbled. "But you showed her what real class looks like." As Jake and I drove off to start our honeymoon, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. The drama with Mom was behind us now. We had a whole new life ahead of us, and I couldn't wait to see what adventures it would bring. It's been a year since the wedding, and life has settled into a new, peaceful rhythm. Jake and I live in a cozy apartment just a stone's throw from our offices. It's not huge, but it's ours, filled with love and laughter. Every morning we walk to work together, hand in hand, talking about our plans for the future. The house where I grew up, the one Mom used to live in, now provides us with a steady stream of rental income. We've turned it into something positive, using the extra money to save for our future and occasionally splurge on weekend getaways. As for Mom, well, I hear things through the grapevine now and then. Apparently, she's renting a small apartment across town, and true to form, she's on the hunt for her next soulmate. Some things never change, I guess. I haven't spoken to her since the wedding. Sometimes I feel a twinge of guilt about that, But then I remember the years of chaos, the constant drama, the way she tried to hijack one of the most important days of my life, and I know I made the right choice. One sunny Saturday morning, as Jake and I are having breakfast on our tiny balcony, he asks, "Do you ever think about reaching out to your mom?" Sip coffee and ponder the issue. Sometimes I will say, then I recall how quiet our life is now, so drama-free, and I'm not willing to sacrifice it. Jake nods, understanding. "You know I'll back whatever you decide, right?" I smile and grab his hand across the table. "No, and that implies everything to me as well." We stroll across the park later that day and come upon a mother and daughter enjoying a picnic. Heads close together, they are laughing at some secret joke. I experience a flash of what may have been for a minute. Then I consider Grandma and Grandpa, who call every Sunday consistently. I consider the parents of Jake, who have welcomed me like a daughter. I consider our friends, who have been our rock ever since and came to gather around us during the wedding disaster. And I understand that family is about the people who stand with you, who encourage you, who love you unreservedly, not about blood. And by that standard, I am wealthy beyond my most insane fantasies.
Hey there, I'm Linda. I'm 22 and about to graduate from college. Exciting times, right? Well, let me tell you, getting here wasn't exactly smooth sailing. My mom, Sandra, had a unique parenting style. "Darling, you simply must wear the Gucci dress to your graduation dinner. It costs a fortune, and everyone will be watching," she'd say. That was my mom, always focused on appearances. Me? I was happiest in jeans and a t-shirt, but arguing with her was like talking to a brick wall. "Mom, I want to wear something casual. It's not a red carpet event," I protest. "Nonsense. You're my daughter, and you'll dress appropriately." End of discussion. Yep, that's how our conversations usually went. But thank God for my dad, Michael. He was my rock, always in my corner. "Princess, wear whatever makes you comfortable. It's your day, after all," he'd say with a wink when Mom wasn't looking. He made everything bearable. Even though he ran a successful business, he never let it go to his head, unlike Mom. Then, there were my lifelines outside the house, my best friend, Zoe, and my boyfriend, Travis. "Girl, you're going to crush that valedictorian speech," Zoe squealed over the phone. "Thanks, Z. I'm nervous, but excited too." "You've got this, babe," Travis reassured me later that day. As graduation got closer, things at home started to feel off. Mom and Dad were having these hushed arguments when they thought I couldn't hear. "Sandra, we need to tell her. It's not right to keep this from her any longer," Dad would say. "Absolutely not, Michael. You promised we'd never speak of it. Don't you dare ruin this for me," Mom would snap back. I had no clue what they were talking about, but it left a knot in my stomach. Still, I tried to stay focused on my future. I had great job prospects lined up, and I was ready to start the next chapter of my life. Little did I know, everything was about to change. If I had known what was coming, I might have skipped graduation altogether. But life doesn't come with spoiler alerts, does it? So, there I was, thinking it was just another milestone, completely unaware that I was about to get the biggest shock of my life. Graduation day. I woke up feeling like I was on top of the world. This was it, the culmination of all my hard work. I could barely eat, my stomach was doing somersaults. "Linda, sit up straight and eat. You'll need your strength today," Mom said, her voice as sharp as ever. Dad smiled warmly. "You're going to do great, sweetheart. We're so proud of you." The drive to the ceremony was tense. Mom fussed over my hair, my gown, everything. Dad was unusually quiet, and I figured they were just as anxious as I was. As I took my place on stage, I scanned the crowd. There were my parents, Zoe and Travis, all beaming. I took a deep breath and started my speech. "Fellow graduates, esteemed faculty, family, and friends, today marks not just the end of our academic journey, but the beginning of our future. We've persevered through late nights, tough exams, and countless challenges. But we didn't do it alone. Our families have been our backbone, our support system." I grew more confident with every word. When I finished, the applause was thunderous. I felt invincible. But then I noticed movement in the audience. My mom was standing up. Weird, I thought maybe she was just emotional. But then she spoke, her voice ringing through the auditorium. I have an announcement to make, she said. I froze. Linda is not my daughter. She's not even Michael's daughter. She's adopted. The world stopped. I couldn't breathe. Was this some kind of sick joke? Gasps echoed through the auditorium as I stood there, frozen. I looked at my dad, praying for confusion or denial on his face, anything to prove this wasn't real. But all I saw was guilt, heavy and raw. I ran. I don't remember leaving the stage or pushing through the crowd. My legs just carried me until I found myself in an empty classroom, gasping for air. The door creaked open, and there stood Sandra, her face an emotionless mask. Why? I choked out. Why now? Why like this? She shrugged, her indifference chilling. You needed to know the truth. You're not ours. You never were. How could you do this to me on my graduation day? Oh, please, don't be so dramatic. It's not like it changes anything. You're still you, she replied with a dismissive wave. But it did change everything. My whole life suddenly felt like a lie. The door burst open again. Dad rushed in, his face etched with worry. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. This isn't how we wanted you to find out. We spat. You knew too. This whole time. He nodded, tears filling his eyes. We adopted you when you were a baby. Your birth mother. She passed away shortly after you were born. We always meant to tell you, but what? You thought lying to me for 22 years was better? I couldn't keep the venom out of my voice. Sandra scoffed, crossing her arms. Oh, stop being so self-righteous. We gave you everything. A good home, education, opportunities. I stared at her in disbelief. Get out, I whispered. Both of you, just get out. They left, Sandra's heels clicking against the floor, while Dad looked back, his face twisted with pain. My phone buzzed again and again. Probably Zoe and Travis trying to reach me. But I couldn't face anyone right now. How could they do this? How could they let me live a lie my entire life? And Sandra, no, not Mom anymore. How could she be so cruel as to announce it in front of everyone? I don't know how long I sat there, my mind spinning, the foundations of everything I thought I knew crumbling. Eventually, I knew I couldn't hide in that classroom forever. But I couldn't face the crowd either. So I did the only thing I could think of. I slipped out the back and called an Uber. As the campus disappeared behind me, it felt like I was leaving more than just a building. I was leaving behind the person I thought I was. Now, I had to figure out who I really am. For the next few days, I holed up in my apartment, ignoring calls and messages. Eventually, Zoe and Travis wore me down. They showed up with pizza and refused to leave until I talked. Their support gave me the strength I didn't know I had. I realized it was time to uncover the truth about my past. We started by searching through my parents' house when they weren't around. In a locked drawer in Dad's study, we found it, a manila envelope. Guys, I think this is it, I whispered, my hands trembling as I opened it. Inside were adoption papers, birth certificates, and letters. My birth mother's name was Elena. She was young, single, and died from complications shortly after I was born. As we were leaving, Zoe's phone buzzed. That's weird. Olivia, Sandra's friend, is asking to meet you urgently. Says it's important. I hesitated but eventually agreed to meet her at a nearby coffee shop. Olivia looked anxious as she sat down. Linda, I'm so sorry about what happened at your graduation, but there's something you need to know about Sandra. My heart raced. What about her? Olivia leaned in, lowering her voice. I overheard her talking on the phone last week. She's planning something terrible. What do you mean? She wants to get rid of your dad, Linda. I think she might hurt him. I felt a wave of nausea. That's a serious accusation, Olivia. Do you have any proof? She nodded and pulled out her phone. I recorded some of her conversations. I held my breath as she hit play. Sandra's voice came through, cold and calculating. Once Michael's out of the picture, all his assets will be mine. That brat hand won't see a penny. I just need to make it look like an accident. I almost dropped the phone. My hands were shaking so badly. There's more, Olivia said, her voice trembling. She's been talking to some shady people, planning something big. I stared at her, my mind reeling. Why are you telling me this? Because it's wrong, and you don't deserve this. That night, I sat down with Travis and Zoe, my heart pounding as I told them everything. We spent hours trying to figure out how to expose Sandra without putting my dad in danger. Finally, we had a plan. It was risky, but it was our best shot. The next day, I walked into Sandra's study, my hands trembling, but my voice steady. "We need to talk." She looked up, irritated. "What is it now?" "Sandra, I know everything. About your plans for Dad. The money, all of it." Her face went pale, then twisted with anger. "You don't know anything, you stupid girl." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. Her eyes widened in shock. "Where did you get that?" she hissed. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's over. You're not going to hurt my dad or anyone else ever again." Just then, Dad walked in, confusion etched across his face. "What's going on here?" I took a deep breath and played the recording again. Dad's face crumpled as he listened, disbelief giving way to horror. "Sandra, how could you?" he asked, his voice breaking. She tried to deny it, tried to explain it away, but the evidence was undeniable. Shortly after, Dad's lawyer arrived, and things moved quickly from there. Within a week, we had a family meeting. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and close friends gathered as Dad explained everything: the adoption, Sandra's betrayal, all of it. The room erupted in shock and outrage. Sandra stood in the corner, her face a mask of defiance, but I could see the fear in her eyes. "I want a divorce," Dad announced, his voice steady. "And I'm removing Sandra from my will, effective immediately." In the days that followed, news spread quickly. Sandra's friends stopped calling, she was uninvited from social events, and her carefully curated world began to crumble. As for Dad and me, we started to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't easy, but for the first time, it felt real. "I'm so sorry," Dad said one evening, "for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me." "I'm getting there, Dad," I replied softly. "We both are." A year passed, and life changed in ways I never could have imagined. I threw myself into my new job, excelling beyond my wildest dreams. Travis and I were still going strong, and Zoe remained my rock. One day, I overheard some colleagues gossiping. "Did you hear about that woman, Sandra? The one who tried to kill her husband for his money? Apparently, she can't show her face anywhere in town anymore." I felt a twinge of something, not quite pity, but a sad sort of understanding. Sandra had made her choices, and now she was living with the consequences. That night, as Travis and I walked home, I found myself smiling. "What's got you so happy?" he asked. I looked up at the stars. "Just grateful, I guess. For you, for Zoe, for Dad. For the truth. As painful as it was, I finally know who I am and where I came from, and I know who my real family is." He squeezed my hand. "We chose you right back." As we walked on, I felt light, free. The past year had been the hardest of my life, but I had survived. More than that, I had thrived. Whatever came next, I knew I could handle it. Because now, I was truly me. The story has ended. What would you do if you discovered a loved one plotting against your family? How far would you go to protect those you care about? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hi, I'm Jasmine. Things took a drastic turn when I was 12. That year, my dad married Linda, and overnight, I had 3 new step-siblings: Mark, Amy, and Kate. Those early days changed everything, shaping the person I am now. The house had always felt too quiet, but when Linda and her kids moved in, it suddenly came alive with laughter. I remember trying to match their smiles, eager to fit in. "Hey, I'm Jasmine. Want to see my room?" I offered, mostly to Mark, the oldest, hoping to break the ice. He glanced at Amy and Kate before smirking. "Maybe later, we're kind of tired from the move." "Right, girls?" Their nods sealed my first rejection, a sting I'd soon have to get used to. As days turned into months, the gap between us widened. Family outings left me trailing behind, and photo albums began to fill up. Albums I wasn't in. Once, during a Thanksgiving gathering, I worked up the courage to ask, "Linda, can I be in the next photo with everyone?" She glanced at my dad, who hesitated. "Jasmine, this one's for the grandparents. They just want a picture of the grandkids, you know." The polite exclusion hit its mark. "But I am family, aren't I?" I asked, feeling my face flush. Kate, always the quiet one, tugged at Linda's sleeve and whispered just loud enough for me to hear, "Why does she keep asking? Can't she see we're busy?" After that, I found refuge with my camera. The one Dad had given me for my birthday. It became my constant companion, my way of being there without really being there. I started taking pictures, not of them, but of the world around me. Birds, trees, the light filtering through the leaves. anything that didn't remind me of the rejection. Years passed, but not much changed. High school graduations, birthdays, even casual barbecues. I was always there, but never truly included. When Amy got married, I wasn't in the wedding photos. I watched the photographer arrange them, every click reminding me of my place on the sidelines. "Why don't you come stand with us, Jasmine?" Mark joked once, his eyes filled with laughter. It wasn't a real invitation, just another moment for them to enjoy at my expense. "Thanks, but I'm good here," I replied, camera in hand. Photography became more than a hobby. It became my escape, my voice. Every shot, every frame captured how I felt. I was no longer just Jasmine, the stepsister left out. I was Jasmine, the artist, the storyteller. My work started gaining attention, and soon, people began reaching out for photo shoots. One night, Kate called. Her tone was unusually warm. "Hey, Jasmine, I saw your shoot in that magazine. We're having a family gathering next month. Maybe you could bring your camera, take some shots." I hesitated. That old desire to belong warred with the new sense of self I had built. "I'll think about it, Kate. I'm pretty booked, but I'll let you know." After I hung up, I looked into my camera lens and saw my reflection, my face, hardened by years of rejection, but now framed by success. I no longer needed their approval to define me. The rhythmic click of my camera blended with the pulsing music at a high-fashion shoot. Models strode across the set, a whirlwind of colors and fabrics. Each shot felt perfect. My assistant handed me a new lens, her eyes wide with excitement. "These are your best shots yet, Jasmine. This is incredible." I nodded, adjusting the settings with steady hands. "Thanks, let's keep the momentum going. This issue could be a game changer." As the day wound down, my phone buzzed with missed calls. One voicemail was from Mark. As I listened, a knot tightened in my stomach. "Hey, Jasmine. Saw your spread in Vogue. Look, Mom's birthday is coming up, and we were wondering if you could do a family portrait. It'd mean a lot to everyone." The irony wasn't lost on me. Before I could even process his words, another call came in, this time from the editor of a major magazine. "Is this Jasmine? We loved your series. We'd like to feature you as a rising star in our next issue. Interested?" My heart raced. "Absolutely, I'd be honored," I replied, my future now illuminated by the opportunities I had created for myself. The next few weeks blur together, filled with accolades and assignments. Articles about my work circulate, labeling me as the it photographer to watch. Invitations to exclusive events pour in, my name whispered in circles that once felt unreachable. At one such event, I run into Amy, unexpectedly. She looks out of place amidst the glittering crowd but approaches tentatively. "Wow, Jasmine, you're really making a name for yourself, huh? Everyone's talking about you." Her voice carries a mix of awe and hesitation. I keep my response cool, professional. "Thanks, Amy. Hard work pays off." She nods, glancing around awkwardly. "Listen about the family portrait." I cut her off, not wanting to reopen old wounds. "I'm really booked, Amy, but I can recommend some great photographers." The distance in my voice is unmistakable. Her attempt at reconciliation, too little too late. As the evening unfolds, I mingle with industry giants, my confidence soaring. The compliments feel like vindication, washing away the sting of years spent on the sidelines. When I return home, I update my social media with highlights from the event. The likes and comments flood in, each one a testament to my newfound status. Among the well-wishers, I spot comments from Kate and Mark, their words now dripping with admiration. But as I sit back, reflecting on my journey, I realize the only approval I ever needed was my own. The family photos that once excluded me no longer matter. In this world, I'm the creator of my own narrative, finally in focus. The studio lights dim as I pack up my gear after a particularly grueling but successful shoot with a rising pop star. My phone lights up with a message from Kate, a rare gesture given our limited communication over the years. "Jasmine, you're everywhere. Think you could do a quick family shoot for us? It's been a while, and it'd be so cool to showcase your work." Her sudden warmth leaves me contemplative but wary. I type a brief response. "I'll think about it, Kate. My schedule's really tight." Days later, at a family gathering hosted by Linda, the atmosphere shifts noticeably as I arrive. Mark, Amy, and Kate hover nearby, their smiles a bit too eager, a stark contrast to the cold shoulders of the past. "Jasmine, look at you, the star of the family. Mark exclaims, clapping his hands as if our history were erased. We were just talking about setting up a big family photo. You should be front and center. The proposition hangs awkwardly in the air as I adjust the camera strap on my shoulder. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm good, I say calmly, my voice steady, a boundary I no longer wish to cross. Their faces falter, surprise etched in their expressions. Amy steps forward, a frown tugging at her lips. Come on, Jasmine. It's just a picture. For old time's sake. I shake my head, a small smile playing on my lips. Old times never really felt like good times for me, at least. I'll pass, but enjoy the photo. Turning away, I catch Linda's eye. She looks torn, perhaps finally understanding the years of exclusion that had weighed on me. As the evening progresses, the family gathers for the photo I set up on a timer for them. I step aside, observing from a distance, capturing the scene without being part of it. Later, as I review the images on my camera, Kate approaches hesitantly. Hey, Jasmine. About earlier, I guess we never really saw things from your side. It's okay, Kate. It's all in the past now. I've found my peace, I respond, my tone genuine but detached. My success has taught me the value of self-respect and choosing where I belong. As the party winds down, I leave with a sense of closure. My step-siblings' attempts at reconnection feel more like a reflection of their newfound admiration for my achievements rather than genuine affection. Yet the satisfaction of declining their photo offer lingers, a confirmation of my independence and self-worth. Back in my studio, bathed in the golden light of sunset, I pause to reflect on the journey that brought me here. Surrounded by the vivid images I've created, each photograph on the walls tells a story of triumph, a celebration of life as seen through my lens. It's a stark reminder of how far I've come, not just in my career but in my personal evolution. My phone pings with a message from a close friend and collaborator. Your spot is reserved at the gallery opening next week, Jasmine. Wouldn't it be the same without you? This message, filled with genuine warmth and inclusion, is everything I'd once longed for, a true reflection of the life I've built on my own terms. Over the years, I've built a new family, not one tied by blood, but by bonds formed through shared passions and mutual respect. Reflecting on the times I felt like an outsider in my own family, I realize now how those difficult moments pushed me to seek out people who truly appreciate and uplift me. I've nurtured relationships with friends, mentors, and colleagues who value me, not for my status or what I can offer, but for who I am. Sitting down at my desk, I pen a few thoughts in my journal, a practice that helps me reflect on my growth. Self-worth is not something given by others, but a treasure built from within, I write. This mantra has guided me through moments of doubt and rejection, reminding me of my intrinsic value beyond the need for familial validation. My thoughts drift to the recent family gathering where my calm refusal to join the staged photo wasn't out of spite, but a declaration of my independence. It was a moment of clarity. I no longer needed their acceptance to feel complete. My journey has taught me that the approval I sought most was my own. As I prepare for an upcoming international photography tour, excitement bubbles within me. This tour isn't just a showcase of my work. It's a testament to my resilience and the supportive community I've built. Each city on the itinerary promises new experiences, new stories to capture, and more opportunities to connect with fellow creatives who celebrate each other's successes. I look forward to the future with a heart full of gratitude and a spirit invigorated by the possibilities ahead. No longer anchored by past rejections, I'm free to forge my own path, embracing both the challenges and the triumphs that come with living authentically. My life, much like my art, is a continuous journey of discovery, and I'm eager to see where this newfound liberation takes me. Now, I have a question for all of you. Do you believe it's always necessary to seek reconciliation with family, even if they've hurt you? Or is it sometimes healthier to find closure on your own terms? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.